Thorns of the Waking Court, a video book, brought to you by SDC Multimedia. Chapter 3, Masks and Monsters. They gave her a room. It wasn't a cell, though she suspected the difference was mostly cosmetic. It was high in the spire of some half-grown tower, where the walls wept sap, and the floor was made of polished blackwood. No lock on the door, but no guards either. As if they knew escape wasn't an option. She stood at the edge of the room, staring out through a twisted lattice of vines shaped like a window. Beyond it, the kingdom stretched, impossible and endless. Forests bathed in moonlight, bridges spun from web and silver thread, mountains that shimmered blue under an eternal twilight sky. The grove had swallowed her. Now Thornecourt held her in its roots. And yet, some part of her wasn't afraid. Not exactly. Something in her blood still thrummed. Not fear, not yet. She touched her wrist. Beneath her skin, something pulsed. A fragment of the grove? A gift? A brand? A voice came from the door. "Do you like it?" She turned. Riven leaned against the doorway, arms folded, smile just shy of a smirk. "Some girls cry," he added. "You haven't?" "I'll cry when I'm dead." He laughed. "Let's hope that's not tomorrow then." "What happens at court?" she asked. "What am I walking into?" He pushed off the frame. "Masks, ritual, blood games. Everyone's lying. Most want to use you, a few want to bed you, and at least one wants you dead before sundown." "Charming." He gave a small bow. "Welcome to the kingdom below." The court gathered at twilight, because Thornecourt possessed no other hour. Calla felt each breath scrape her ribs as she followed Riven down a staircase that curved like the inside of a seashell. Lantern flames drifted beside them, fire held in thin glass globes, each orb tethered to a silver thread that led somewhere into the gloom above. The steps were polished root, black as onyx, and slick beneath her bare feet. Her borrowed gown, a pale slip of moon silk that clung to every bruise, whispered with each uncertain stride. "They'll smell nerves," Riven warned without turning. "Breathe slower." She tried. The air tasted of frost and crushed violets, laced with a tang of iron that never quite left the back of her throat. Beneath it pulsed something older, the living heartbeat of the grove, muffled by stone and shadow, but still there, steady as a war drum. At the stair's end, 2 bronze doors waited, massive, vine-etched, their handles forged to resemble twin thorns. Music seeped through the seam, low strings, a single mournful flute, the heavy pulse of distant drums. Riven paused. One rule above all: never remove another's mask. "What happens if I do?" His smile flashed, quick, wolfish. "You won't live long enough to regret it." He pushed the doors. A hush rolled out to meet them, cool air, perfumed and dangerous, and Calla stepped into Thornecourt's great hall. The room was an impossible cylinder carved within the root spire. Balconies spiraled the walls like layers of an ancient tree ring, each tier crowded with masked courtiers draped in silks and thorns, feathers and bone. Lanterns drifted beneath the domed ceiling, their green-gold flames reflected in a floor of polished obsidian. Every surface shimmered like water. Every sound, laughter, music, whispers, echoed as though the root walls drank and then gave them back. Calla stood exposed on a circular dais at the hall's center. No rail, no barrier, merely a few paces of slick black glass between her and the drop to the lower floor. She felt the weight of 100 hidden eyes rake her skin. Riven's hand found the small of her back. "Stand tall, witchling." "I'm not—" But he was already drifting away, swallowed by the crowd. A hush draped the balconies. Figures leaned forward. Masks glittered. Foxes of hammered silver, owls cast in jet, leering hounds carved from bleached bone. Some wore simple silk half-faces, others hid entirely beneath elaborate helms of petals and thorn metal. No two alike, all unsettling. Drums quieted, a single bell chimed. On the highest balcony opposite the entry doors, a veil of mist parted, and King Aerith stepped to the balustrade. Silence rooted the court. Even the drifting lanterns hovered, flames caught in breathless stillness. Aerith wore a mask of shadow glass that revealed only the ghost glow of his eyes. Black thorns wreathed his pale hair, and a cloak the color of midnight rain trailed behind him, its hem alive with faint silver runes. He did not raise his hands. He did not need to. Authority rolled off him in waves, cold and inexorable. "Thornecourt awakens," he said, voice amplified by unseen magic. "She bleeds into her roots again." The court answered with a single sound, the tap of every guest's right hand against their mask. Respect or submission? Calla couldn't tell. Aerith's veiled gaze settled on her. "We stand between dream and decay. Our curse endures, yet now the grove delivers her." His tone never rose, but the words rang like steel. Let court judgment decide. A door below hissed open. Calla pivoted, a creature sluiced from the dark, a hulking mass of bark, moss, and corded root. It moved on 4 knotted limbs, thorns jutting from its shoulders. A face existed only as a vertical slit through which green light glowed. Each motion left a smear of sap on the gleaming floor. A collective shiver rippled through the balconies. Monster. No. Guardian. She sensed it in the groan of its joints, in the scent of crushed cedar that followed its steps. The grove had birthed this thing. The guardian stalked onto the dais until it loomed over her, twice her height. She forced her chin high, heartbeat hammering against ribs wrapped in borrowed silk. Aerith's voice drifted down. "The Root-Warden shall judge worth. If she lives, she stands trial at dawn. If she fails, new blood feeds the grove." Cold washed pinprick sharp down her spine. She dreamed of gallows, of drowning, of iron knives, but she'd never imagined this. Facing a beast hewn from the very forest that had consumed her. The warden lowered its head. Sap dripped from its jaw, hissing where it struck the obsidian floor. Its chest split, bark folding back like ribs. Within, a bloom of crimson petals unfurled around a core of dark amber. The amber glowed, pulsing to the grove's hidden heartbeat. Calla's pulse synced, terrifying, inevitable. Words whispered inside her skull, formed of wind and crackling leaves. Blood, breath, bone. Her knees threatened to buckle. She gripped her skirt until knuckles blanched. The chamber, the masks, even Aerith's distant silhouette blurred, leaving only the warden's awful blooming core. Blood, breath, bone. She swallowed. "What do you want?" The words weren't meant for her, yet the blossom quivered, listening. Blood, breath, bone. She had only one to spare that wouldn't kill her outright. Breath, the smallest gift. She exhaled, slow, deliberate, letting every tethered fear ride the air from her lungs. White vapor left her lips, curling like mist toward the crimson petals. The bloom inhaled, petals trembling as if tasting her offering. A hum thrummed through the floor. The warden straightened its bark ribs closed. Sap hardened to lacquer. It lowered onto one foreleg, bowing. A whisper rippled through the balconies. Astonishment, outrage, jealousy. Calla drew a shaky breath, heart sprinting. Riven appeared at her side, mask of mirrored glass hiding his expression, but his voice carried a grin. "Clever girl." The drums resumed, slow, throbbing victory beats. Aerith lifted a gloved hand. "The grove has spoken. She lives." A roar of conversation burst loose. Courtiers surged, swirling from balconies onto vine-woven ramps that unfurled to the dais like petals opening. Color flooded the hall, gowns of dusk rose, night blue jackets stitched with silver constellations, capes feathered in raven black. Music soared, strings and flutes racing over a heartbeat drum. Calla remained stone still as the tide of masked faces pressed closer. Riven leaned. "First dance is tradition." He offered a hand clad in black leather. "I don't dance." "Tonight, you do." His grip caught hers before she agreed. He pulled her from the dais onto a circular space of living root that had risen, smooth as a curling fern. Other couples flowed to join, each pair parting in measured steps like petals in a ritual bloom. "Follow me," Riven murmured. Music shifted to a lilting cadence, 3 beats, pause, 3 beats. Riven's hand found her spine again, steady. They began to circle, slow at first, her bare feet slipping on slick roots, then faster until silk skirt and prince's coat both fanned like twin shadows. Masks flashed past, wolf of hammered gold, raven of obsidian glass, a haunting, many-eyed mask of moonstone. Glances slid across her skin, hungry, curious, some calculating threat. Yet none stepped between the grove's witch and the Thornblood prince. "Eyes up," he whispered. "Pretend you belong." "Do I?" A chuckle. "You're here, aren't you?" He spun her. Lantern light shattered across his mirrored mask, reflecting her own anxious eyes. For a heartbeat she saw 2 Callas, one frightened, one fierce, layered atop each other. When the music slowed, the dancers parted, leaving her and Riven center floor. Applause, a soft patter of gloves en route, rose from balconies. Riven bowed with courtly grace. Calla mimicked, stiff but unbroken. The prince's voice lowered. "Court sees your composure. They'll test it next." "Next?" He inclined his head toward the grand staircase curling down from Aerith's balcony. The masked offering. Figures descended, 6 in number, robes white as bone and masks blank, save for a single black teardrop painted beneath the right eye. Each carried a silver tray. As they reached the floor, courtiers hushed, drifting to form a wide circle. Riven's hand brushed Calla's arm. "Don't drink anything." "What are they carrying?" "Truth, lies, sometimes both." His voice darkened. "Aerith desires spectacle tonight." Calla straightened as the robed servers approached. One halted before her, tray gleaming with 6 crystal vials, each stopper sealed with wax, every wax stamp bearing a different sigil. Thorn, crescent moon, bleeding heart, serpent, feather, mirror. The servant spoke, voice hollow. "Choose." Riven shifted nearer, tension beneath his calm. "The sigils are old." He pointed subtly to the feather. "That's memory. Mirror is reflection. Dangerous. Serpent is desire. Crescent, usually binding. Bleeding heart is pain. Thorn, well, thorn is death." "So none are water," she muttered. Calla lifted a vial. Mirror, clear liquid reflecting fractured lanterns. Reflection. "Dangerous," he'd said. She almost set it back, then froze. The obsidian floor beneath the tray reflected the vials differently. Only 5 appeared. The mirror vial cast no reflection at all. She chose it. Gasps fluttered among the nearest masks. Riven's hand tightened on the small of her back. Bold. The servant produced an ivory cup, no larger than a thimble. Calla unstopped the vial. Silver vapor curled from its mouth, scentless, shimmering. She poured. The liquid struck the cup, turned dark as ink, then cleared until it looked exactly like water. She raised it to her lips and paused. She angled the cup, catching reflection off its surface. Her face stared back, eyes shadowed, cheeks smeared with dried sap. But in the reflection, a crown of living thorns coiled above her temples. Reflection, dangerous indeed. She drank. Cold flashed across her tongue, ice and starlight. A heartbeat later, warmth bloomed behind her sternum, rippling outward through every vein. She gasped, vision splintering. The hall melted into mirrored shards, multiple courts overlaid, some burning, some overgrown by flowers, some empty save for pale ghosts. A mirror realm, endless possible Thornecourts, and in each reflection, Calla herself shone with roots of light coiling around her ribs, throat, wrists, roots that writhed like living veins. Hunger. The word vibrated behind her eyes, thousands of voices overlapping. She clamped her jaw. The visions blurred, receded, snapped back into the single trembling image of the hall. The guardian loomed at the edge, still bowed. Courtiers stared, hushed. She handed the cup, empty, to the servant. Delightful. A ripple of uneasy laughter. Somewhere above, Aerith's gloved hand lowered slowly to the rail, as though he'd expected her to falter and now weighed a new calculus. The servers moved on. Guests resumed their murmur, but glances lingered on Calla, as if assessing a blade. Riven exhaled. "You saw things, didn't you?" She nodded. "Anything instructive?" She eyed the prince's mirrored mask, his dark hair curling against the collar of his silver-stitched coat. "I saw roots in my veins." "That," he said softly, "sounds inconvenient." An armored figure approached, tall, broad-shouldered, mask-wrought of steel feathers. A thorn-etched pauldron marked him a knight. Riven stiffened. "Elias?" The knight inclined his head to Calla. "My lady." His voice was calm riverstone, deeper than Riven's silky lilt. She sensed old grief beneath each syllable. "The king requests your presence," Elias said. "Now?" Riven stepped forward. Elias didn't spare him a look. "Alone." Calla's pulse leapt. "Why?" "Court is spectacle," Elias replied. "Truth waits behind closed doors." He offered his arm. She hesitated, then let him guide her through the parting crowd. Back up the spiral ramp, past whispering masks. They reached a narrow passage behind the hall. Torches guttered against damp root walls, casting Elias's feathered mask in moody bronze. He paused outside a door of living wood that breathed in slow rhythm. "If Aerith asks you for your fear," Elias said quietly, "keep it. Offer anything else." Her brow furrowed. "Why help me?" A beat. "Because your mother did the same for me once." Before she could press, the door opened on its own, revealing a private salon washed in silver moonlight. Elias bowed, retreating. Calla stepped inside. King Aerith waited near a balcony cut from the spire wall. No mask now. His face was startling in its austere beauty, skin pale as birch bark, eyes silver-frosted, hair falling in luminous threads around sharp cheekbones. Yet a shadow lingered in the hollows of his cheeks, as though night gnawed him from within. She shut the door behind her. Silence pooled. Aerith's gaze drifted to her wrists, as if tracking unseen roots. "You drank reflection." "I guessed. Few survive its truths, fewer stay sane after." "Disappointed?" "Cautious." He approached a low table where a map of vein-inked vellum lay pinned by polished stones. "Tell me, Calla Lunaria, who taught you to bargain with the grove?" "No one. I listened. Roots speak in riddles." His eyes found hers. "They crave sacrifice. I offered breath, and kept your blood." Something bleak flickered across his face. Admiration, envy, hunger. "The grove answers those who feed it, yet it obeyed you without flesh. That has not happened in 3 centuries. It didn't obey. It watched." Aerith circled the table. "From this hour forward, the court will hunt ways to own you. Riven will try charm, others, chains. You must decide whether you stand with me or against me. You threaten me after I saved myself? Not threat, invitation. He stopped within arm's reach. Break my curse, I will break your chains. She almost laughed. What makes you think I can? He lifted a stone from the map, gray, veined with glowing amber. It pulsed, echoing the grove's heartbeat. Because when your blood touched the altar, the roots awakened, and this— He placed the stone in her palm. Heat traveled her skin, racing her veins like liquid fire. Is a shard of the throne's poison. It stirs for you. The warmth turned searing. She gasped, dropping the shard. Aerith caught her wrist. A gloved hand, yet the heat of his body pulsed through the leather. Pain flared, but not from his touch. From within, as if hidden roots tightened. He released her instantly, stepping back. See? Even my glove poisons, my touch kills. The throne steals every moment of breath I take until none remains. She cradled her aching wrist. You're dying. I have been dying for centuries. Then why keep living? Because if I fall, Thornecourt crumbles, and the grove swallows both realms. His gaze sharpened. Help me sever the roots of this curse, and I will see you home, free and whole. A windless silence spilled between them. Or, she said at last, I could let the grove devour this court, end the curse by ending everything. His lips curved, a ghost of a smile. You could try. The shard on the table glimmered, brightening with her accelerated heartbeat. Choice stared back, sharp as thorn. Outside, music roared anew, laughter sharpening, masks jostling. The kingdom pulsed with cursed life. Calla met Aerith's luminous gaze. At dawn, the court means to test me again. Yes. Then you'll have your answer.